Colour Out of Space is the new film by Richard Stanley, and Studio Canal yesterday released a brand new Blu-ray of it. It's just come out in this country, so we're going to have a bit of a chat about it. And I haven't personally seen it, but Simon has bought it, and he has seen it, so he's going to have a little bit of a chat about the Blu-ray. So he's going to do that now. Hello,
Yep.
Simon.
Hi. Yes, here it is. I've got the HMV First Edition, as they're calling them. Well, this is the third one now. First two were Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and Knives Out. So this is the third one. The next one's going to be The Lighthouse, so looking forward to that one. So yeah, as you said, it's directed by Richard Stanley, and we've looked at a couple of his films previous. I mean, this is the first film he's directed in like 20 or so years, so it's quite special for that reason. But yeah, we both enjoy his previous work, Hardware and what's the other one? Dust Devil.
Dust Devil.
Do you want to talk about them briefly?
Yeah, Dust Devil, Hardware. We reviewed both of them on the channel. We did both of them on the channel. Yeah, go and check those out on the channel. Shameless self plug for both those films there. Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of Richard Stanley films, and was quite excited when this one was kind of on the cards to be done. And then, although I have to say, I didn't really hear of it until it was about to come out, and I saw the original trailer for it.
No.
And looks pretty insane. But yeah, I was excited for it. Obviously, it's a Lovecraft story. And yeah, I think Hardware and Dust Devil, they're both great films. Strange, but very unique in their own ways.
I mean, I'd say Dust Devil is almost a little bit Lovecraftian, almost mythical, magical, sort of fairy tale almost feel to it, isn't it? So, and weird stuff going on.
I mean, if you know Richard Stanley, I mean, he's obviously he's famous for those two films. He's also famous for quite a lot of documentaries as well, and a lot of documentaries on kind of mysticism and the kind of esoteric and mysteries and things like that. So obviously Lovecraft is kind of right up his street, and he obviously also was making the Island of Dr. Moreau. Back in the 90s, that kind of got shut down, and there is a really interesting documentary about that as well. But I mean, Lovecraft is kind of right up his street, so I'm obviously very interested to see what he's done with it.
I mean, I watched it last night. I mean, it was pretty good. I mean, I do like a bit of Lovecraft. I mean, obviously, previously, I mean, this story itself has been made, I think, more than once.
There's a film back in the 50s called Die Monster Die, which is a kind of a loose variation of it, and even the Tommyknockers by Stephen King is also loosely based on the story as well. So there are other films.
Yes, I mean, Stuart Gordon, who sadly passed away.
Yes.
Week or two ago. I mean, he made Reanimator and From Beyond and Castle Freak, all based on Lovecraft stories. I mean, there's been a lot of Lovecraft adaptations that maybe aren't too good, but I mean, I think he's quite difficult. Some of the stories are quite difficult to adapt. But yeah, I mean, this one, I think it does stick reasonably close to the original story. Obviously, it was written like 100 years ago, so it's updated for the 21st century. But the basics are still there. It's a farm in the middle of a wood, a meteorite lands, crazy stuff starts to happen. I mean, if you've seen The Thing, it's got elements of that in with sort of mutated animals and things like that, and there's all weird plants growing, and everyone's mind starts to go a bit strange, and they're not quite themselves anymore, should I say. So I won't go too much into it, don't want to spoil it, and also we're just talking about the Blu-ray rather than the movie. But as you can see from the front, it stars Nicolas Cage. I wouldn't say he goes full Cage in it.
I was actually going to, obviously we don't talk about the movie itself, but I did want to ask before I see it, does Nicolas Cage, is he, because I mean, I do like Nicolas Cage, I have to say. He's kind of hit and miss. He obviously ruined The Wicker Man, but that wasn't his fault. The film was terrible anyway. So there are times that he can be really, he's so much fun to watch, but then other times it can be just really annoying. And I was wondering, does he work? Does he work in this movie?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know if he's the perfect casting for it. He's watchable in it. He's always watchable most of the time. I wouldn't say he goes full Cage.
Right.
He does go a bit nuts towards the end. I mean, have you seen Mandy?
No, I have. No. I didn't see
I mean,
that
has particularly excellent, full-on Cage rage. But so I wouldn't say it's quite to the level of that. I mean, this is the same production company, Spectrovision, which is Elijah Wood and some other peeps. So obviously he has past form with those guys. And yeah, and Richard Stanley wanted to make an H.P. Lovecraft film, and they wanted to make one, so that's how it happened. If you're a fan of Lovecraft and you've liked, The Thing and The Void, which came out sort of 2 or 3 years ago, which was a real sort of attempt to as an 80s sort of throwback horror movie that was very Lovecraftian. It was sold on being cosmic horror, which is his thing. It was a low budget effort, but A for effort because it looked amazing. A lot of the effects, the plot and the acting and the script, maybe not quite so much, but effects wise it was really cool. So if you enjoyed that, then I think you'd definitely like this. So if you are a Lovecraft fan, then yeah, check it out. So I thought I was a bit disappointed that they've stuck with the same art that's on the normal edition, because if they're going to have a special, they could have given some different art on here, because this is the same art that's on the disc case as well. So but it is what it is, but it's nice and shiny. You can see there's a bit of embossing and things like that. So that's the disc, and in there you get the actual story in a little booklet, which has got also pics from the film in it as well, and the whole story. I mean, as you can see, it's not a particularly long story, so it's a lot of his stories were quite short, so that's why when they do film them, they got to sort of pad it out a bit. And the other thing you get in there is a poster of that art as well. But again, it's, like I said, it's a little bit disappointing they couldn't have had some different art somewhere, just because there were some quite cool posters for this movie out there. And the other disappointing thing is about it, on the US disc, there's a making of and those deleted scenes that I mentioned, and they're nowhere to be found. There's no extras on this whatsoever.
Nothing at all?
No.
Oh, okay.
Which is a bit disappointing. I mean, to be fair, the making of and the deleted scenes are both on YouTube, and I watched them. So, the making of's pretty good. It's got loads of interviews with with the producers and Richard Stanley and the actors and stuff like that, and loads of behind the scenes stuff about making the creatures. There's loads of practical effects in there. So it was it was an interesting watch. But yeah, it is on YouTube if you're desperate. And like I said, the deleted scenes, a couple of them just extended of what's already in the movie, and some others that are just character bits which don't add a great deal to it. So it was just a bit disappointing they weren't on there. I think maybe if I'd known that in advance, I don't know if I would have bought it. I might have imported the US version.
So in a way, is it worth picking this up? Because unless you're a fan, unless you're maybe like either a Richard Stanley completist or a Lovecraftian completist, or even a Nicolas Cage completist. What else is there? And obviously, if you're a fan of the film and you're a fan of getting Blu-ray discs and you want it in your collection because it looks nice. I mean, you're not standing next to me, but I can kind of see the kind of the nice picture effect on there, and it's a nice cover. But if you're not, if you do like special features, then maybe it's not worth picking it up. I mean, how much did you pay for that?
It was $17.99 at
so that's
HMV,
quite a lot of money.
It's £3 more than the normal edition. So I mean, it's whether that booklet, which I know I've already got the books, all the Lovecraft stories, so I don't need that. And the poster is nice to have. One day I might frame it if the wife lets me, which she probably won't. I don't know. I mean, it's only £3. It's not. It's a nice little box. But yeah, if I'd known it didn't have the features, I might have plumped for the US one. I mean, in the US, the Blu-ray is locked to Region A, so if you can't play that, then obviously there's not much choice. There is a 4K release as well, and of course 4K discs don't have any region coding on them, so if you can play 4K, then I would go for that. There's no 4K release in the UK, and both of those could be had for less than $17.99. To be honest, less than $14.99 for the normal edition. So I nearly was going to order that, and then I saw it was coming out in the UK. I thought, I'll just buy the UK edition. I don't need to worry about importing it. But I kind of wish I had just imported it now. Although to be fair, there's only it is only that making of and the deleted scenes, which I've now watched on YouTube. So it's not something that I would go back to over and over again. It's not an in-depth, hour-long documentary on every aspect of making it. So there's not, you're not missing a huge amount.
Well, I'm going to watch it, definitely. I'm probably not going to pick up that Blu-ray. Obviously, we are at the moment in times where we're not supposed to be spending too much money, and that's maybe a bit too much money for me at the moment. So I'm going to. I think I noticed it was. I can rent it on Amazon. I'm gonna watch it on Amazon. I might watch it tonight actually. Now that we've done this, and I rewatched the trailer, and it does. I mean, I have to say, it looks quite interesting. Yeah. I'm very intrigued.
I mean, I would say all the stuff you're seeing in the trailer is from sort of the latter half, I would say. And
it's also got I think it was Jodie Richardson's in there as well.
Yeah, she is.
I always enjoy her performances. I haven't seen her around that much recently.
No, I mean everyone who's in it is great. I mean, there's even Tommy Chong from Cheech and Chong in there. So
wow.
So he crops up as a little sort of hermit that lives in a cabin in the woods.
Is he smoking a bit of the weed?
Yeah.
good. It's
He's
good.
sort of playing a hippie kind of guy, basically playing himself, I think.
And if you've seen it, let us know in the comments below.
Yeah.
We'd love to know what you think of it. Does it do it for you? Are you a fan of Richard Stanley? Does it feel like a Richard Stanley film? Does it whatever? I'd love to know what other people think about it, and we can maybe have a chat with you down in the comments.
And what's your favourite Lovecraft adaptation as well?
Oh, what's yours?
Oh, it's going to have to be Reanimator, isn't it? Let's be honest.
Yeah, I'd probably go with Reanimator as well.
Yeah.
It's a very.
There's quite a few that I haven't seen. I've never seen Dagon. The problem is a lot of them turn into just sort of standard horror slasher kind of things. There's one called Lurking Fear, which stars Ashley Lawrence from Hellraiser, and it takes elements of the Lovecraft story, but it's not the best. It's okay, but it's not great. Sometimes I think his stuff's a little bit. They try and shoehorn it into modern times and kind of don't get it quite right. But I think this one does achieve it. It is pretty out there and a bit weird, and it does retain a lot of the stuff from the original story.
So that was the HMV First Edition release of Colour Out of Space, and if you enjoyed the video, then as always, let us know in the comments below.
So hit the subscribe button there, and don't forget to hit that bell for notifications. Check out some of our other videos there. Find us on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram, and make sure you come back soon for another video.